You do have a party. This is the party. Farrah, Farrah, I love you. Happy birthday, sister. Happy birthday, goddess. Brought a miracle back. Farrah, Farrah.
To myself.
Happy birthday to Farrah. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
2020. Some people believe that 2020 is the worst year of their lives. This year started with the natural disasters all over the world. Bushfires, forest fires, floods, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, cyclone, COVID-19, the global pandemic, and lately, Beirut's explosion. Yes, there have been catastrophes, and that means we need to adapt and live life differently for some time. But this has happened many times throughout history, and people overcame it. I still don't hate this year. I look at the positives. I'm still alive, and I'm grateful for that. Maybe it's because in my life I have seen wars. I have experienced 3 wars and death every day. Leaving home and going to university and not knowing if me or my family would return home alive. There was a time following the war where we had no electricity, no drinking water, and having to stay home all the time as everything was closed and outside was not safe. All we had to connect us with the world was the Arabic radio Monte Carlo FM. My name is Farrah. It's an Arabic name. It means joy. I came from a land that is historically known as Mesopotamia, the land between the 2 rivers, Tigris and Euphrates. This land is now called Iraq. I was born in Baghdad. I spent my childhood and adult life there. I was blessed to have wonderful open-minded parents who taught me how to be honest, kind to others, not to be two-faced. They also encouraged me to get a good education. I was born and raised with 3 wars. Iraq-Iran War, 1980 until 1988, First Gulf War, 1991, and the Second Gulf War, 2003.
At this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger.
I lived in a country that suffered from an economic blockade for almost 12 years, which left us isolated from the world. But with all that, we never thought of leaving our country, Iraq, until 2005, when things changed. On 24th of August, 2005, my father, Wissam al-Hashimi, an expert in petroleum geosciences in the Ministry of Oil in Iraq, was kidnapped and killed by terrorists in Baghdad. Following the war on Iraq 2003, there was a systematic liquidation of all intellectual people in Iraq. Hundreds of professors, doctors, and scientists were assassinated. One of them was my father. I find nothing to write on Baghdad, but childhood memories, lost dreams. I miss our house. I miss our family. I miss our gathering. I miss our dog. My father's precious rocks, the moaning trees, the sad green palm, wait for an arrival that never comes. Old Baghdad, destroyed by bombs and lies. I feel for you. Perhaps I miss you. A city with a broken heart. I feel for you. Perhaps I miss you. A city with a broken heart.
May you always know that you are loved. May you always be shown how much you are loved. May you always know far, far you are divine.
During the lockdown, the tallest building in London, the Shard, was one of my main interests. I live close to it, so I would see it every time I went outside, and I tried to take many photographs of it from different directions. I admire its design, and I like how its appearance will change according to the weather. This is because Italian architect Renzo Piano used a sophisticated use of glazing and created facades of angled glass panes intended to reflect sunlight and the sky above. So the main three things I was interested in during the lockdown period were my father, the Shard, and Farid al-Atrash, the Arabic musician, singer, and actor. I then realized they are connected to each other. I contacted my father's friends, trying to collect some photographs or any information they have. I wanted to know more about him. I also was searching for the Shard, the 95-story skyscraper. Then I came to realize that there was a great man behind it, the leading developer in London, Irving Seller, who contacted one of the famous architects in the world to design this iconic feature.
My architect got his inspiration from the energy of the rail lines, because it is a third busiest station in the UK, and the beauty of the river. Within about 30 seconds, I saw the dream.
This is where cities are great places, because they're made by layers, and every new layers is built on the old layers, at one condition, that you don't destroy. And we didn't destroy anything here. We are right on the middle of a brownfield, coming from railways.
Irving Seller was contemplating this dream of building an iconic tower at London Bridge.
A government white paper emerged which said they would encourage high-density development providing properties were close to transport hubs. Well, the building we bought sat right next to and partly on top of London Bridge Station. We had all the odds working against us. The planning odds, the public inquiry. There was complete disbelief this would ever happen.
The Shard project gave us the opportunity to demonstrate that we're a world-class engineer.
We haven't had our Eiffel Tower, we haven't had our Empire State, but we've now got the Shard. And I'm privileged, with my team, to have delivered it.
بخيالي راعيتها في فؤادي.
Almost every day I was hearing Farid's songs and watching his movies and interviews. Farid al-Atrash was my father's favorite singer, and he became my favorite singer and musician too. His music and songs have different tastes. They are immortal.
أيام رضاه يا زماني هاتها هاتها وخد أمري.
Farid was a Syrian immigrant who, aged 8, moved to Egypt with his mother, brother, and sister, fleeing from French occupation to Syria. He loved Egypt very much. For him, it was his country. Farid dedicated his life to composing operetta and orchestral works. He enjoyed singing and composed iconic songs for himself and his sister, as well as songs for Arabic leading singers. His music was performed by international orchestras and singers. He also produced many films. Farid faced many challenges in his life, including the sudden death of his sister, the singer Asmahan, but he never gave up. These two people, Ervin and Farid, reminded me of my father, who stood tall facing the challenges he had in Iraq during Saddam's reign. He never gave up. He refused to leave his country at its worst, always saying, "If you leave it or I leave it, who will be here to serve it?" My father was the first from the region to be elected as a vice president of International Union of Geological Sciences, and was a Secretary General of the Union of Arab Geologists and President of the Geological Society of Iraq. Through these positions, he served many countries, and the last thing he did was to become a key supporter of the proposal to establish the International Year of Planet Earth, which after his death won United Nations approval in 2008. In the obituary of IUGS, his friend John Aran wrote about him saying that he was a fine scientist who could have forged a notable career in any country of his choosing. But Iraq was his homeland and he was determined to serve there. These three people, my father, Ervin Seller, and the musician Farid al-Atrash, are a great example for the question I always raise. What does it mean to love your country, the place in which you live or you were born? From the beginning of the lockdown until the present time, this beautiful, elegant tower in London stood alert and tall, looking down at London and supporting its people, checking on them every day. During the night hours, the top of the monument is lit in blue to support NHS workers and all the people who worked in the front line. For me, this blue light is a reflection of hope.